Welcome back, coin hunters. Take a deep breath and look closely, because what I am about to show you is not just another old piece of metal. This is not pocket change. This is not something you toss into a jar and forget about. This is one of the most wanted coins in American history, and if you have never seen one before, do not worry, because most people have not, and that is exactly why it is so powerful. Right now in my hand is a coin that collectors dream about, dealers hunt for, and auction. Houses fight over. This is the kind of coin that can sell for thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the craziest part is that some people have owned it without even realizing what they had on this channel. We do not. Waste your time with ordinary coins you can find in everyday circulation. We go deeper, we search harder, and we reveal the real treasures hidden in plain sight. The coins with history, the coins with rare errors, the coins with low mintages, the coins that were struck in limited numbers and quietly disappeared into collections for decades. This is where serious coin hunters come to learn. This is where you discover what details to look for, what mint marks matter, what years changed everything, and why condition can turn a $1 coin into a 5-figure treasure. This is where knowledge turns into power, and sometimes that power turns into profit. Imagine opening an old drawer in your house or checking a dusty jar of coins passed down from your grandparents and finding out that one small coin inside is worth more than a month of salary. Imagine holding a piece of history that survived wars, economic crashes, and generations of hands before ending up in yours. That is the magic of rare coins, and that is exactly what we bring to you every single time. We break down the history behind the coin, we explain why it was minted, what makes it rare, how many were produced, and how many are still believed to exist. Today, we talk about grading, we talk about mint errors, we talk about auction records, and we show you real numbers, real facts, and real opportunities. Because here is the truth. Most people spend rare coins without even noticing. They overlook tiny details. A small letter, under the date, a slight doubling in the design, a special composition change, or a limited year of production. And those small details can mean the difference between $1 and $100,000. If you have coins at home, do not ignore them. Do not assume they are common. Do not think they are worthless until you learn what to look for. The next treasure could already be sitting in your house waiting for you to recognize it. This channel is built for people who are serious about discovering hidden value. We are building a community of smart collectors, sharp observers, and passionate history lovers who understand that every coin tells a story, and some of those stories are worth a fortune. So if you want to know the real value, the real history, and the real secrets behind the most wanted coins ever produced, then this is your place, this is your advantage, this is your treasure map. Make sure you subscribe right now, turn on notifications, and join the hunt, because the next coin we reveal might be the one that changes everything for you. Most people see a nickel and think it is just 5 cents, nothing special, nothing rare, nothing valuable. But what if I told you that one specific black-toned Jefferson nickel has shocked collectors across America? What if I told you that this dark, mysterious 5-cent coin could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more depending on what you are holding? Yes, we are talking about the legendary 5-cent Jefferson Nickel, the coin that has been part of American history since 1938, featuring the powerful profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic home Monticello on the back. But today this is not just about any Jefferson nickel. This is about the rare black, toned versions, the ones that look different, the ones that stand out, the ones that make experienced collectors stop and take a second look. Now listen carefully, because not every dark nickel is valuable. Some turn black because of environmental damage, moisture, soil, or chemicals, but some develop deep natural toning over decades, creating a rich black or charcoal surface that serious collectors actually love and chase. And then there are the real legends, the wartime silver nickels during World War II. From 1942 to 1945, the United States needed nickel metal for military production, so the composition of the 5-cent coin was changed. These special nickels were made with 35% silver, along with copper and manganese. And because of this unique composition, many of them tone in darker shades, sometimes nearly black over time. These are not ordinary nickels. These are known as the wartime Jefferson nickels, and they carry a large mint mark above Monticello on the reverse. Something never seen before or after that period at the time they were struck at the historic United States Mint facilities, including Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, and San Francisco Mint. That large mint mark is your first clue. If you find a 1942, 1943, 1944, or 1945 nickel with a big P, D, or S above Monticello, you are holding a wartime silver nickel. And if that coin has developed deep original black toning in high-grade condition, you might be looking at something far more valuable than 5 cents. Now, here is where it gets even more shocking. Some rare Jefferson nickels with dramatic black toning, combined with strong luster and high mint state grades, have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at major auctions, especially when certified by top grading companies. And then there are the error coins. Imagine a black-toned Jefferson nickel with full steps visible on Monticello, meaning every step on the building is sharp and complete. Collectors call this full steps, and they pay serious money for it. Imagine finding one with a doubled die error, where the lettering appears slightly doubled, or with an off-center strike, or even a rare die crack running across the surface. These small details can multiply the value dramatically. There are documented cases of rare Jefferson nickels, especially key dates like 1939, D, 1950, D, and high-grade wartime issues, reaching impressive auction results when preserved in exceptional condition. The 1950 D in particular had a very low mintage, and collectors hoarded them from the beginning, but finding one in pristine condition with unique toning can still command strong premiums. The shocking truth is that many of these nickels still sit in old collections, coin jars, estate boxes, and inherited albums. People overlook them because they look dark, dirty, or old, not realizing that the dark color might actually be a sign of age, originality, and potential value. And here is something most beginners do not know. Cleaning a black nickel can destroy its value instantly. Collectors prefer original surfaces even if they are dark or toned once cleaned. That natural character is gone forever. So if you have a black Jefferson nickel at home, do not rush to polish it, do not scrub it, do not try to make it shiny. Instead, examine it carefully, check the date, look for the large mint mark above Monticello, check the condition of the steps, inspect the lettering for doubling, and consider having it evaluated professionally if it looks special, because sometimes the coin that looks the worst to an untrained eye is actually the hidden treasure. That is why this channel exists. We dig deeper, we look closer, we question everything, and we reveal the secrets that others ignore. Your next valuable coin might not be gold, it might not be silver, it might not be large or flashy. It could be a simple 5-cent piece, dark, black, and underestimated, waiting quietly in your collection. So before you spend another nickel, before you ignore that old dark coin in your drawer, take a second look, because history, value, and opportunity sometimes come in the smallest packages. Coin hunters do not relax yet, because the story of the black Jefferson nickel goes even deeper. And what I'm about to tell you might make you run straight to your coin jar tonight. Most people think value only comes from gold coins or old silver dollars, but some of the most shocking auction results in American numismatics have come from small, overlooked denominations, especially the 5-cent coin. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, and over the decades, billions have been produced. But here is the key word: billions. Not all billions are equal. Within those billions are tiny groups of rare dates, rare varieties, rare mint errors, and rare high-grade survivors. And when you combine rarity with dramatic black toning and strong eye appeal, you create the perfect storm for serious collector demand. Let us go deeper into the wartime silver issues again, because this is where many black-toned nickels come from. Between 1942 and 1945, the composition changed to include silver, and that single change created a completely different aging process over time. Silver reacts differently with air humidity and storage conditions, leading to dark grey charcoal and sometimes nearly jet black surfaces collectors often call this natural toning, and when it forms evenly across the surface without damage, it can dramatically increase desirability. But here is where things become truly shocking. Some wartime nickels graded in high mint state condition, MS66, MS67 and above, especially with full steps on Monticello, have crossed auction blocks for thousands of dollars. Think about that for a moment, a coin with a face value of 5 cents, selling for the price of a used car simply because of rarity preservation. and demand. Now, let us talk about key dates, because if you are serious about hunting, you need to know them. The 1939D and 1939S are better dates, especially when they feature the doubled Monticello variety, where parts of the design appear slightly doubled. Coin hunters, stop everything and listen carefully, because the coin we are about to expose today is hiding in plain sight, and almost nobody is paying attention to it. You have probably held this coin dozens of times, maybe even hundreds of times. You may have spent it without thinking twice. You may have tossed it into a jar or left it in your car cup holder. But what if I told you that one specific year of this ordinary-looking 5-cent piece has shocked collectors when found in the right condition? Today we are talking about the 1978 Jefferson Nickel, yes, the 1978 issue of the legendary Jefferson Nickel, the coin that carries the profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the front and the historic mansion Monticello on the reverse. Now, I know what you are thinking. 1978 is not that old. It is not from the 1800s. It is not silver. It is not gold. So how could it possibly be valuable? That is exactly what makes this story so shocking. In 1978, millions upon millions of nickels were struck for circulation at the United States Mint, including facilities like the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Because so many were made, most people assume they are all common and worthless. But here is the truth. Mass production does not guarantee high quality. Many 1978 nickels were weakly struck, meaning the details, especially on Monticello, are not sharp. The steps are often flat blended or incomplete, and that is where the opportunity begins. Collectors search for something called full steps. Full steps means the steps of Monticello on the reverse are fully visible and clearly separated without major interruptions. This detail is extremely difficult to find on many late 1970s nickels, because of heavy die wear and mass production pressure. When you find a 1978 nickel with strong luster-clean surfaces and full sharp steps, you are no longer holding an ordinary 5-cent coin. You are holding a condition rarity, and condition rarity is where the money lives. Most 1978 nickels in circulation are worn, scratched, dull, and common, but in top mint state grades, MS66, MS67 and higher with full steps examples have sold for hundreds, and in rare cases even more at auction. Imagine that a coin people still find in change selling for hundreds of dollars simply because it survived in exceptional condition. Now let us go even deeper, because condition is not the only factor error. Coins from 1978 can command serious attention. Look for off-center strikes where part of the design is missing. Look for clipped planchets, where the edge appears cut. Look for die cracks running through the design. Look for doubled die varieties where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled. Look for dramatic strike-through errors where foreign material interfered. During minting, these errors transform an ordinary nickel into a collectible conversation piece, and collectors compete aggressively for dramatic examples. Here is another shocking truth. Some 1978 nickels have developed attractive toning over decades, especially those stored in original mint sets. Deep gold blues and even dark charcoal shades can form, and eye appeal matters when collectors are bidding. But remember, never clean a coin. Cleaning destroys originality, and once that surface is damaged, the premium often disappears instantly. Now imagine this scenario. You are sorting through a small box of coins inherited from a relative. You see a 1978 nickel. It looks unusually sharp. The steps on Monticello are crisp. You tilt it under light, and the luster flashes across the surface. You compare it to other nickels, and suddenly you notice how much stronger the details are. You send it for professional grading, and it returns in a high mint state grade with full steps designation. That 5-cent coin that most people ignore is now worth far more than face value. That is the power of knowledge. The 1978 Jefferson Nickel proves that you do not need a 100-year-old coin to find value. You need sharp eyes, patience, and understanding of what the market rewards: high grade, strong strike, full steps, original surfaces, and rare mint errors. These are the ingredients that turn common into uncommon. So tonight I challenge you. Check every 1978 nickel you have. Do not glance at it, really examine it. Look at the date, check for a mint mark, inspect the steps of Monticello under good lighting, compare details, search for doubling cracks or unusual features, because hidden among millions of ordinary coins are a few extraordinary survivors, and those Survivors are waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Stay focused, stay aggressive, and remember in the world of coin hunting. Even a 1978 Jefferson Nickel can shock you if you understand the details. The next hidden gem might already be in your pocket. Right now, coin hunters, do not scroll away, because the deeper we go into the 1978 Jefferson Nickel story, the more intense it becomes. Most collectors ignore the late 1970s completely. They chase silver, they chase early dates, they chase famous key years. But smart hunters understand something powerful. Sometimes the biggest opportunities hide in the years nobody respects. The 1978 issue of the Jefferson Nickel was struck during a time of massive production pressure. The economy was active, coins were needed for commerce, and the United States Mint was pushing out millions upon millions of nickels for circulation. Because of that, speed and volume quality control was not focused on creating perfectly sharp collector pieces. It was about quantity, not perfection. And that is exactly why sharply struck 1978 nickels are so hard to find today. When you examine the obverse, look closely at the hair detail of Thomas Jefferson, many examples show flatness around the ear and hairline due to worn dyes, but a premium example will have crisp defined strands, strong cheek contours, and blazing mint luster. Now flip the coin and focus on Monticello. This is where legends are made. The steps at the base of Monticello are the battlefield. For collectors, most 1978 nickels have steps that are weak blended or partially missing. But if you find one where each step is fully separated with no major nicks or bridging lines, you may be holding what specialists call a full steps example. Full steps on a high-grade 1978 nickel is not common. In fact, it becomes conditionally rare, and condition rarity drives auction excitement. And here is something even more advanced. Some 1978 nickels struck at the Denver Mint show different strike characteristics. Compared to those from the Philadelphia Mint, experienced collectors compare both, searching for the sharpest survivors. Philadelphia issues from that era often lack a mint mark, while Denver pieces carry the D, and small differences in strike sharpness can influence value dramatically. Now let us talk about preservation coins. Saved in original mint sets often have better surfaces, but they can also develop toning over time, sometimes golden, sometimes deep grey, sometimes even dark charcoal, and eye appeal plays a massive role in final selling price. A technically high-grade coin with poor eye appeal may sell for less than a slightly lower-grade coin with beautiful natural toning and strong luster. This is where experience separates casual collectors from serious investors. Then there are transitional and mechanical doubling varieties. Small shifts during the striking process can create subtle doubling effects that beginners overlook, but specialists hunt aggressively. Even minor die cracks on a 1978 nickel can add personality and collectability, especially when dramatic. Now imagine this real-world situation. A roll of old 1978 nickels sits untouched for decades in a desk drawer. You decide to examine them carefully under magnification. You separate the sharpest examples, you compare the steps, you identify one with nearly flawless surfaces and razor-sharp detail. You submit it for grading. When it returns in a top-tier mint state grade with full steps designation, the market suddenly sees what most people missed. A coin that millions ignored becomes a prize because so few survived at that level. That is the secret of modern coin hunting. It is not just about age. It is not just about silver. It is about survival quality and demand. The 1978 Jefferson Nickel teaches a powerful lesson. Sometimes value hides inside common years because the highest grade examples are far rarer than people realize. So I challenge you again, do not underestimate late-date nickels. Do not assume modern equals worthless. Pull them out. Examine them under strong light. Use magnification. Check the steps. Study the luster. Look for strike quality and compare carefully, because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary can be a single sharp line. On the steps of Monticello, stay disciplined, stay observant, and remember, coin hunters' fortunes are not found by accident, they are found by those who look closer than everyone else. Today we are stepping into a year that almost everyone ignores, and that is exactly why it can shock you. The 1977 Jefferson Nickel, yes. 1977, not 1939, not wartime silver, not some 19th century rarity, but a coin that many people still remember, using in everyday change, and that is what makes this story powerful, because hidden inside ordinary years are extraordinary survivors. The 1977 issue of the Jefferson Nickel features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic estate Monticello on the reverse, and at first glance it looks completely common, completely ordinary, completely spendable. But here is where things get shocking. In 1977, the United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of nickels at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Massive production numbers flooded circulation. And because of that, most examples today are heavily worn, scratched, dull, and unimpressive. And that is exactly why high-grade examples are so difficult to find. When coins are produced in huge quantities and immediately thrown into circulation, they get damaged quickly. Very few survive in pristine condition for decades. Now imagine finding a 1977 nickel with blazing original mint luster, no major contact marks, sharp strike, and most importantly, fully defined steps. On Monticello collectors call that full steps. And in the world of Jefferson nickels, full steps can mean everything. Most 1977 nickels have weak or flat steps because of die wear and production speed, but a sharply struck full steps example in mint state condition can command hundreds of dollars, especially in grades like MS66 or MS67 with strong eye appeal. That is right, a coin with a face value of 5 cents selling for hundreds simply because it survived better than the rest. Now let us talk about errors, because this is where real excitement begins. The 1977 nickel is known for examples with mechanical doubling strike, doubling, and occasional off-center strikes. Look closely at the lettering on the obverse, especially around the words liberty and in God we trust. Subtle doubling can appear, and while not all doubling is valuable, strong, clear double die varieties can bring serious collector attention. Also search for die cracks running through the design-clipped planchets where part of the edge is missing, and broad strikes where the coin appears stretched without a defined rim. These dramatic mint errors can turn a normal 1977 nickel into a collectible worth far more than face value. Here is another factor that surprises many people. Original mint set coins from 1977 often display beautiful toning over time, golden shades, icy blue highlights, or even deep grey hues, and collectors pay premiums for eye appeal, especially when combined with high grades. But listen carefully, never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys the natural surface and in most cases destroys the premium collectors are willing to pay. Originality is king in modern coin collecting. Now picture this scenario. You open an old family coin album. Inside is a 1977 nickel that looks different, brighter, sharper, stronger than the rest. You examine the steps under magnification and they are crisp and uninterrupted. You tilt it under light and the luster flashes like a mirror. You send it to be graded, and it comes back in a high mint state grade with full steps designation. Suddenly that 5-cent coin is worth more than an entire roll of nickels. This is not fantasy. This is how the coin market works. Condition. Rarity plus demand equals value. The 1977 Jefferson Nickel proves that you do not need a century-old coin to find a hidden treasure. You need patience, knowledge, and the willingness to look closer than everyone else. So tonight I want you to check every 1977 nickel you have. Do not just glance at the date, study the strike, inspect the steps, search for errors and compare carefully, because among millions of ordinary coins there are always a few extraordinary survivors, and those survivors are waiting for the collector who understands what others overlook. We are talking about the 1977 Jefferson Nickel, and by the end of this script, you will never look at this 5-cent coin the same way again. The 1977 issue of the legendary Jefferson Nickel carries the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the historic home, Monticello, on the reverse, and to the average person it looks completely ordinary, but coin hunters do not think like average people. In 1977, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels at major facilities, including the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The goal was simple: produce coins, fast, keep commerce moving, flood the economy with change. Speed was the priority, not perfection, and when speed becomes the focus, something very important happens. Quality drops, dies, wear out quickly. Details become weak. Steps on Monticello lose sharpness. Hair details on Jefferson flatten out. Rims lose strength. And most of these coins enter circulation immediately, where they get scratched, dented, and worn down even more. Now, think about this if hundreds of millions were produced, but nearly all of them became worn, damaged, or poorly struck. What happens to the small percentage that survived in pristine condition? They become condition rarities, and condition rarities are where serious money hides. When collectors search for a 1977 nickel, they are not looking for a typical circulated example worth 5 cents. They are hunting for blazing mint state. Coins with original luster-clean surfaces and, most importantly, fully defined steps on Monticello full steps is not just a small detail, it is a badge of honor in the Jefferson Nickel world. Look at the base of Monticello on the reverse. Most 1977 nickels have steps that look flat, blended, or broken because of worn dies, but when you find one with all steps clearly separated, sharp, and uninterrupted, that coin enters a completely different category. Now combine full steps with a high mint state, grades such as MS66 or MS67, and suddenly you are no longer talking about pocket change. You are talking about a collectible that can sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on eye appeal and demand. Yes, hundreds of dollars for a 5-cent coin. That is the power of preservation. But we are not done yet, because the 1977 nickel also hides another layer of opportunity: mint errors. During high-speed production, mistakes happen, planchets shift, dies crack, strikes become misaligned, and sometimes metal flows in unusual ways. Look for off-center strikes where part of the design is missing. Look for clipped planchets where the edge appears cut out. Look for broad strikes where the rim is not fully formed. Look for die cracks running across Jefferson's portrait or through Monticello. Look closely at the lettering for signs of doubling. While many forms of doubling are mechanical and minor, strong visible, doubled die varieties can attract collector interest and increase value. Now let us talk about something most beginners overlook: eye appeal. Two coins can have the exact same grade, but if one has dull, lifeless surfaces and the other has blazing luster with beautiful natural toning, the market will favor the more attractive example. Every single time some 1977 nickels preserved in original mint sets develop subtle gold, blue, or grey toning over decades, and collectors love originality. But here is your warning. Never clean a coin. The moment you polish or scrub that nickel, you remove its natural surface, and once originality is gone, so is much of the premium. Serious collectors prefer untouched surfaces, even if they are slightly toned or dark. Now imagine this scenario: a forgotten roll of 1977 nickels sits in a drawer untouched for decades. You decide to examine them under strong lighting. You rotate each coin slowly. You compare the steps. You search for the sharpest strike, and suddenly one stands out stronger. Details, cleaner fields, sharper steps. You send it for professional grading. Months later, it returns in a high mint state grade with full steps designation. And now that forgotten nickel is worth far more than face value. This is not fantasy. This is how modern coin markets operate. The rarest coins are not always the oldest. The most valuable coins are not always silver. Sometimes the biggest surprises come from survival quality. The 1977 Jefferson Nickel teaches a powerful lesson. Value hides where knowledge lives. If you train your eye, if you learn what to look for, if you stay patient and disciplined, you can find opportunity where others see nothing. So I challenge you tonight: open your coin jar, pull out every 1977 nickel, examine them carefully, study the strike, inspect Monticello's steps, tilt the coin under light. Look for luster, check for errors, because among millions of ordinary coins there are always a few extraordinary survivors, and those survivors are waiting for someone who refuses to overlook them.